Hi, this is Mr. Evans. This video looks at the assessment of the A-level business course. These are the 10 units. I sometimes like to look at them like this. 3.1 is a look at what is business, an overview of business, sole traders and business objectives and all of those things you cover in 3.1. Then 3.2 gives an overview of managers, leadership and decision making, things like leadership styles, decision trees, how managers make decisions, etc. And then we go down into the different functional areas and look at how each of these functional areas operate. How do we judge the success of these functional areas? How do these functional areas help deliver an organisation's objectives? And how do the functional areas, most importantly, work together to deliver the corporate objectives? Now, if you sat an AS exam, these were the units that were covered in that AS exam. And if you did study in that AS exam, probably you covered these units in year 2. And even if you didn't sit an AS exam, probably these are the units that were covered in year 2. Now, it's worth pointing out that 60% of the questions in the final exam are going to be on units 3.1 to 3.6. That's how it's weighted. You've got 60% here, 40% here. So only 40% of the course is what you've covered in year 2. Now, maybe I didn't make this clear enough to my class when they were preparing for the mock exam, but that just emphasises the importance of knowing these units here. Yes, these units are absolutely vital too, and it's important that you go and revise them, but you can be revising these all the way through your second year of the course, because this is the foundation of your knowledge. So what's assessed in the papers? Well, each paper assesses all of the content, and I'll talk a little bit more about each paper momentarily. First though, these are the times for the June 2018 exams. Now, if I were an athlete preparing for an evening meeting, say, an evening race meeting, I would be doing my training, if I'm going to be racing 100 metres at 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to be training at 8 o'clock at night. I'm not going to be training at 6 o'clock in the morning. Equally, you can see that all of these 2-hour papers are taking place in the afternoon, and from memory I think that's a 1 o'clock or a 1:30 start. So what I would be doing is I'd be checking that start time, and in February, March, I would start sitting down, even if you can't do it during the school day, do it at the weekend. Like, sit down at 1 o'clock and practice writing for 2 hours, because often, most effective revision often is kind of testing yourself through flashcards and things like that, which is great, but you're actually going to be assessed by being able to write for 2 hours. And, some students go into the exam without having practiced that. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of getting hold of past papers and sitting down and writing for 2 hours straight, so that you get the feel for what it's like doing that at the time that the exam is going to be on. All right. When I was at university, a lot of my best revision was done at 11 o'clock at night, but that's not particularly handy if you're sitting in an exam at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so each paper is 2 hours long. It's 100 marks, which gives you a minute per mark and 20 minutes of reading and planning time. All good answers in an exam have been planned. That might be a quick bullet point plan so you know where you're going with the essay, but I'm an examiner, and I know that the best essays have been planned before they're started, even if it's just a few bullet points so you remind yourself where your essay is going to go. So paper 1. Paper 1 is structured like this. You get 15 marks of multiple choice questions. You've then got 35 marks of kind of short answer questions. These might be calculations, or they might be like 4 to 9 mark explain, analyze questions, where you're given maybe a context and you are given a topic. So it would be something like, explain how a coffee retailer might alter their promotional mix in order to attract more customers, or something like that. Explain the importance of the promotional mix to a coffee retailer looking to attract more customers. Something like those. That question might come up as, say, a 5-mark question. Then you've got two 25-mark questions to answer at the end of the paper. Excuse me, someone going past in the car. You've got two choices of 2 questions. These are going to assess knowledge, application, analysis, and evaluation. So this is what it might look like. You've got choice of 20 questions, 21 or 22. You pick which one of those questions that you want to answer, and then you've got to do the same again. Okay, so you've got two choices of 2 questions. So I hope that's clear. Paper 2 is 3 case studies. No multiple choice in this exam. It's 3 case studies. You will have some short answer questions, some calculations, then some explain, analyze type questions for each case study. And there are 3 evaluation questions which are worth between 16 and 20 marks. In the 2017 format, the first evaluation question was worth 20 marks, and then the following 2 case studies had evaluation questions at the end worth 16 marks. And here's an example of some of the data that you might be provided with in the case study. It tends to be written text and then tables like this. Paper 3 is 1 case study, 1 long case study on 1 organisation. And paper 3 is quite a tough exam. There's 2 12-mark analysis questions, 2 16-mark evaluation questions, 1 20-mark evaluation question. And once you've written all of that, there's a big 24-mark question. And the context, if we're going by past form and what AQA have told us, the context is all businesses. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, all of these first questions, the 12, the 16, the 20 mark questions, are based on the information that you'll find in the case study. This is an example of an all businesses question, and they come up in other papers as well, and I'll provide a video on how to answer them. But the question is, to what extent is the nature of the target market the most important influence on the marketing mix of all businesses? So to get the marks here, you're not going to be talking about that one organisation in the case study, although you may want to use it to provide some examples. The question is all businesses, so that's really important that you spot that. And like I say, these all business questions do come up in other papers, and I'll provide some videos on how to answer that.